Hi everyone. So, if you're interested in the iced mud cake dessert, I'm about to show you how to make it. And honestly, it is the fastest recipe in the world to make. Well, it's the fastest cake recipe I've ever come across. The longest thing is doing the icing. So I'll start with the icing, believe it or not. And you need 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil. And quite often coconut oil is really hard. And the easiest way I've found to deal with hard coconut oil is a good, robust ice cream scoop. So I'm just going to put in 1/3 of a cup of, it's actually quite soft, so it's nice and warm in here, that's good. I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup in the pot, and hopefully it will work for me this time. So I'm just doing that. And we'll just get that underway, and that can quietly, thanks Kerry, that can just quietly melt while we do our other stuff. So that can go in there. Right. Very good. So now to turn this on, we go boom, boom, and it should, it's going. It's making noises, so that's good. I'm going to just turn it down a bit so it doesn't go too fast. There we are. Okay, now to make this cake, as I say, it's extremely quick. So I've already sieved into this bowl 3/4 of a cup of white flour. Then I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of brown flour. So we'll just do that. And actually, the recipe for this here, believe it or not, I just can't bring myself to do it. But the recipe actually says do it all in the baking dish that you actually bake it in. It's really crazy, but I just can't quite bring myself to do that. So I have to do it in another pot for some reason, I don't know why, in another bowl. And then we put in 1/3 of a cup of carob powder, and Kerry's going to tell you a bit about carob powder in a minute. It's just a different plant to a cocoa plant, but a whole 1/3 of a cup of that goes in.
Yeah, so that's the exciting thing. So the carob, I thought it tasted great tonight, but carob is a much healthier alternative to the cocoa bean.
And it does need to be sieved though. Can you see it's got lumps in it? So you do need to sieve it, otherwise it's not going to work. Yeah.
So carob is really high in antioxidant and fibre, and it doesn't have any caffeine in it, which is the nasty with the chocolate. Yeah, so it's just a good way to have a chocolate alternative. There's a whole lot more things. I've just been reading up on carob on Google here, and of course it's got no gluten, so it's good for the gluten-free people. But it's really good for your vocal cords. So if you want to improve your singing skills, eat carob.
Amazing. Isn't that amazing? Who would have thought? That's a part of our body we don't often think about, isn't it? Unless you're a singer, of course, then you probably do.
So yeah, there's carob. Right. There's all sorts of health benefits to eating carob, really good for vegan recipes.
Yep. Thank you, dear. Then we're going to put in a cup of coconut sugar, so that can just go in there. And it doesn't sieve too well. I'll try it in the sieve and see what happens. It might be a bit too big to go through, I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But coconut sugar's often got lumps in it, so you can see the lumps in there. So actually it's going through quite well, so there we are. So 3/4 of a cup of self-raising flour, 1/2 a cup of wholemeal flour, 1/3 of a cup of carob powder, 1 cup of coconut sugar. And as I say, they put all this in the actual baking the actual pot, which is really strange, isn't it? But so that's that there, and then I'll just get my baking dish, my baking tray.
So Gina, why would you do coconut sugar over standard sugar?
Because it's not been processed quite as much.
Yeah.
And often they talk about refined sugar, and that means it's because it's had so many processes done to it. It's been heated, and then they skim off the top on the stuff on the top, and then they cool it, and then they heat it, skim off the top on the stuff on the top, cool it, heat it, and skim until they're left with just a molecule. So it's not a whole food. It's just C6H12O6, which is really processed. So you don't want to have that too often. Whereas this is much more with other things in it as well. It's still got bits of plants still in it, if you know what I mean.
There's actually zero nutritional value in white sugar. It's the empty calories and weight to put your weight on.
So just to line this, I'm just going to...
So coconut sugar is a much better alternative.
Yeah. And it tastes absolutely fine. That cake you had in it today was coconut sugar, and I don't know that you would have noticed, to be honest. So I'm just going to do these corners like this, just to line my tray. And as I say, when they saw this recipe, they just plonked this straight into your baking thing like that. I mean, that's if you want to be really fast. But I just can't quite bring myself to do that. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on why, but I just can't. So there we are. My dish is already there. So now we're going to put in some wet ingredients, and it's 1 cup of warm water. So that's going to go in here. Whoops. It's actually very warm, isn't it? As you can see, it's been boiled. And 1/3 of a cup of a vegetable oil. So where's my 1/3 of a cup? I've got to put my glasses on because I can't see the writing on the cup. Well, that's a half. Where's my 1/3? Here it is over here. 1/3 of a cup of this stuff. So I'll just do that. This is rice bran oil. So I wouldn't use olive oil for this. Anything sweet, you don't really want to use olive oil. It's way too strong. So you want to use an alternative to that. Then 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. So we'll just pop that in here. And 1 teaspoon, believe it or not, of cider vinegar. Strange, isn't it? But that goes in too. 1 teaspoon is all you need. Okay, and then we mix all that together. I'll just double check I've got everything. White flour, wholemeal flour, carob, coconut sugar, salt. Got to have my salt in there. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And, thank you very much, dear. And that's it. And as I say, if you really want to, you can do this all in this, in your baking tin, which is really strange, isn't it? But I'm not going to do that. I just can't quite get myself to do that. But you can add into here walnuts if you want, or raisins are really nice. Raspberries, someone said, yeah, you could do. You could probably put in pecan nuts as well, or, you could get a bit creative. So that just goes in here. And you can be quite, it's not too precious about what size tin you use. I've used all different, when I've been at different people's places, I've used all different tins and it just seems to work. It's just amazing. So straight into there it goes. And then into the oven, I don't know, it's written on your thing there, it's about half an hour at 180. And that's it. And just get a skewer and just check that when you think it's cooked, stick the skewer into the cake and make sure that it's, I might make that a bit smaller actually. And make sure it's really clean. The skewer's really clean when you take it out. So you can go and pop this here, if you like, into the oven for me, Kira, if you don't mind. Thank you, dear. And you can take that away. Excellent, thank you. So now I'm doing, yes please. Actually not that though, I don't know if I need that. So now I've just got my coconut oil, my 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil has melted, as you can see in there, okay? So now I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of a particularly luscious ingredient. Can you see that? Almond butter. It's the most gorgeous stuff. And we need 1/4 of a cup of that. So where's my 1/4 cup? Here it is here. So I'm just going to put that into here. You can actually be fairly flexible with this, but you don't want to have too much coconut oil because otherwise it'll get very runny and it won't set nicely. So just go easy on that. Get the ingredients about right, obviously. So this is just crushed up almonds. Isn't that amazing? Look at the oil. Look at the oil in there. It's amazing, isn't it? So a plant-based icing, that's not too bad, this. About, might need one more, mightn't I? About that. Okay, so that now is going to go the 1/4 of a cup of almond butter is going to go in with a 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil, and you're going to mix that together. Very good. Look at that. So it's coconut oil. It's still a saturated fat, but it's still a plant-based oil. It's certainly way better than butter. So there we just get those going together nicely, and then I have to put in 1 tablespoon of. Can anyone guess? What else do you think was in it? Any guesses? What do you think was in it? Salt, yes, there is some salt in there. Yeah, carob powder, that's right. So I'm going to put a third, once I've mixed this all up, I'm going to put in a third of a cup of carob powder. What else did I put in it? Do you think? Oh, you've got the recipe in front of you. Oh. Yeah, true. You can catch me out. No, it's not a quarter of a cup, it's a tablespoon, right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have got, yeah? So basically, baking powder is usually what people use to raise cakes with, but we use a different product made with potassium instead of bicarbonate of soda. It's a bit better for you, but you could use any raising agent. But sometimes baking powder can be hard on your stomach. I actually find it does give me a bit of a sore stomach, so I actually don't use baking powder. I use this other alternative. So 1 tablespoon, but actually a tablespoon's not that much different to a quarter of a cup actually, but anyway. Yeah, well, that's true. Okay, so that's going in there, look at that. And the same amount of my favourite ingredient in the world, maple syrup. So let's just mix that in a bit. Look at that, beautiful. So it looks very wet, doesn't it? And it is wet. But I'll tell you what you do in a second. So that's a tablespoon of this beautiful stuff. That one's from Pack and Save, yeah. Was that how much was that worth? Can you remember, Kerry, or not?
That's an expensive lot. That one was $33 at Pack and Save. So it's moderate use of these things. But it's still a much better sweetener. Yeah, it is. Because when I was in Canada, we went to a maple syrup farm, and so they've got all these maple trees, and basically the trees are all lined up, and they've got all these pipes coming off them. They've got a sort of they dig a sharp thing into the bark, and with a tube, and then the sap just comes out and drips into the bowl, and that's it. That's maple syrup. So it's not processed at all. It's a very natural product. So I always feel quite good at eating it. When we were there, they had these sticks with maple syrup wound around them on ice. So they were like maple syrup ice blocks. They're pretty sensational. I did succumb, I have to say. Okay, well,
and then
not?
And then just a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, believe it or not, goes in there. And that is your icing. So coconut oil, almond butter, maple syrup, carob powder, salt, and while that looks very wet, what you do now, what I do is I stick that in the fridge. You just stick that in the fridge at home, but put the buzzer on for 10 minutes, because if you leave it for too long, you've got a problem. So put it on for 10 minutes and give it a stir. If it's not ready, usually it takes about 20 minutes. And just keeps going back to it every 5 or 10 minutes till it gets that really good consistency like what you had on your cake. And then you just ice your cake with it. And there you have your very simple iced mud cake. Nice and easy.
There we go.
Yep.
All good.
Yep.
All good. Okay, thanks, Gina.
You're
Let's give her a
welcome.
clap.